Okay, whatever. I put my Jays hat back on because I can't seem to find my Leafs hat. And frankly, both these organizations are disappointing. We know how the Jays went out this year. Honestly, I don't even know what to say about this team, man. Like, Shapiro and Atkins, like, you just totally messed up the organization from a player and team standpoint. I mean, great. You changed up Rogers Center. It looks like a great facility. Congratulations for that. You spent $500 million or whatever of Rogers money to fix up the stadium. Now fix up the team. Like, why did you guys ever get rid of Teoscar? Gurriel and Moreno even I can understand. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not an analytics guy, but Gurriel and Moreno, I mean, you got back Varsho, and you got back Varsho, who's a Gold Glover this year. He'll probably be multi-Gold Glove winning outfielder for years to come if he stays in the organization. I mean, why did you trade Teoscar? Why? I know, like, Eric Swanson's a great pitcher. He was at the time, but really? Look what Teoscar's done since he left Toronto, culminating in this year. Like, I just don't understand the thinking of Ross Atkins. Like, it just baffles me. And now, like, are you guys gonna get used again with the whole Juan Soto thing? Do you guys actually think you're gonna sign this guy? Like, honestly, just sign Santander and Bregman, lock up Vladdy, and call it an off season. Fix your bullpen, add another starter or two. Please just don't waste your time with the whole Juan Soto getting dragged in. Unless you're really gonna sign the guy, just don't do that to Jays fans, man. What you did with Shohei last year. Come on, man. Like, seriously. Sign a guy like Santander or even Teoscar. If somehow he'll leave a World Series championship team that he actually had a huge part of. He wasn't just some throw-in player. Like, he had a huge part of them winning that World Series. If he would come back and you could sign a guy like Bregman or even sign Santander and Teoscar, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to sign two outfielders because you still got George Springer, you got Dalton. Maybe you do, who knows? But sign someone like that. Santander, Teoscar, Bregman. Try and get a pitcher like Max Fried as a starter. Maybe you bring Yusei back. I do like the young guys that you were able to get in the trades last year. Will Wagner looks like he's going to be a ball player. Joey Loperfido looks like he's going to be a ball player. You know, in that sense, all right. But even 2 years later, man, the whole Teoscar thing just sucks, bro. Like, bring this guy back, man. Like, he was just such good vibes for the team too. Like, kill the analytics choices. Like, the analytics choices. You guys in your 5th inning decisions are like just. I don't know if it's John Schneider or this team gives me the most headaches. Like, it's really frustrating. The Jays used to give me so much joy. Okay? Like, I honestly remember growing up as a kid, I loved the Jays so much that if there was a West Coast game or a game on that it was getting too late and I had to go to bed, Tom and Jerry, man, put the earphones on, listen to the rest of the game on radio. Like, I never missed a game, whether I was watching it or listening to the end of the game, or I used to fall asleep to that stuff. Watching them win the World Series, watching back-to-back World Series, telling you, I've been a Jays fan for a long time. But what Shapiro and Atkins have done to this organization, it's sad, man. Sad. Sad. And I don't know if John Schneider's the answer. After 2 years watching him, just the whole operation is just very tiresome, man. Like, I hope next year's a different story. Now, I love what Vladdy did this year. Vladdy had a great season. Started off slow, but he looked great for pretty much the entire season. I would just say first month he kind of started off slow. After that, man, if you guys don't lock up Vladdy long term, lock him up under contract. Please get him to sign a contract soon. Bo Bichette too. Okay? Yeah, he had one bad season, but you're talking about a perennial 200 hit guy. Like that doesn't grow on trees. So he had one down season. A lot of players have one down season. Even a season and a half where they're hurt. They can't get over a certain injury that's lingering. And we already know Bo. He approaches the game much differently than a lot of guys. So please get him under contract too. That's why I'm saying, like, oh man, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a change this year. Move away from Shapiro and Atkins. Or at least Atkins. I don't know. Some kind of change. But to hear this whole internal development thing again from Atkins at the winter meetings, it's not looking good, Jays fans. I don't know. And I just hope they don't get used again by another superstar. And then they're out there not even trying to sign Vladdy Guerrero. I just don't know what they're thinking, not signing. He should be your first priority. Maybe sign him first and then try and get Juan Soto so that Juan Soto could think, okay, I'll be playing with Vladdy at least for the next 10 plus years. But why are you just sign Vladdy, man? Sign Vladdy, bring back Teoscar, or sign Vladdy, bring back, sign Santander, sign Bregman, fix your rotation, fix the bullpen, add one guy to the rotation. I think the rotation is in solid shape. And maybe, I don't know, make a change to the front office. Rogers, you guys are... Edward Rogers is now the most powerful sports person in Canada, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe having one guy in charge is a good thing. It seems to work for a lot of teams. Maybe that'll work for MLSC. Which brings me to the Leafs, and I don't know where my Leafs hat went, so... Alright, the Leafs. Okay, so it's just funny to me, right? How the Leafs get this pass every year from the media. Oh yeah, I have a great team, so I have a lot of faith in them. They'll make the playoffs. But then the same media, will turn around and complain about the Raptors just being a middling team, just making the playoffs. Well, what are the Leafs doing? The Leafs are basically just making the playoffs too. Like, there's a lot of 100-point teams in the NHL. There's, in their division alone, 200-point teams. In the Metro, there's another one or two. Like, what are we really saying about the Leafs that no one wants to say? The core four has to be broken up. I'm sorry. They let the Marner thing get too far. They let all of it get too far. These guys are just, I'm sorry, but they're too entitled. They have their no trade clauses, so they control everything. Like, Dubas really messed up this whole situation. Blue Jays fans. Oh. Even in the off season, this team just Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, what have you done with my beloved Blue Jays? Please, honestly tell me, what have you done? They were the first favorite team of mine to give me a championship. They were the first favorite team of mine that I saw win a championship. What have you done to my beloved Blue Jays? I became a Steelers fan in like 1994, 1995 when they were bad. So I watched the Steelers win Super Bowls after that. So the Leafs still haven't won one while I've been alive, and the Raptors 2019. So 92, 93, I was in heaven as a sports fan because of the Blue Jays. And of course, there were some really awful years after that team broke up. But I remember everything from the George Bell and Lloyd Mosby years leading up to those years, first years at Skydome, and then winning the World Series. It was amazing. Baseball was so exciting at that time, and what's happened to that? Like, I just don't understand what Ross Atkins was thinking going back to splitting up the barrio. I want to call it what it is, but I don't want to call it what it is, so I'll leave it. But I just think these guys have run their time in Toronto. Like, you guys need to leave now, I think. You guys took the teams out of Alex Anthopoulos and Paul Beeston's hands. Alex Anthopoulos went on to win a World Series in Atlanta literally under 3 years later. What has Ross Atkins done? Other than trade away Teoscar. Lourdes Gurriel and Gabby Moreno, I understand. I kind of understand that trade. But the Teoscar trade, that never should have happened, man. Like, and I'm not saying that now because Teoscar's won a World Series in LA. It was obvious, even at that time. Like, first of all, they fleeced Houston to get Teoscar. Teoscar was brought in by Shapiro and Atkins. But that makes it even worse if you ask me. You guys traded for the guy and saw what he was about, saw what he meant to the franchise, and then just traded him away for Eric Swanson because he made a couple of errors in the outfield his last season, and he seemed to, have been on a little bit of a downtime. Look how that man turned it around. Look what he meant to the organization, to guys like Vladdy and Bo, and it was just such a gut punch when you traded that guy. And like I said, I kind of understand the Gurriel and Gabby Moreno trade more. Getting Dalton Varsho for Gurriel, maybe the bat isn't there yet for Dalton Varsho, but his defense certainly makes up for it. And then I understand Blue Jays fans' consternation with Gabby Moreno and the difference between him and Kirky, Alejandro Kirk. But the fact is, Alejandro Kirk is not as bad as everyone makes it seem, from fans to media. The reason he gets that hate, I would say, is just because of his size. But when you look at his defensive WAR, and like I said, I'm not an analytics guy, but when you look at his runs saved and even his throw rate this year and how many guys he threw out compared to Gabby Moreno, his defense is right up there. His batting, him and Gabby Moreno, they weren't much different at the plate either. So you could almost say that trade was a wash with Arizona. Gabby Moreno's young. He's going to probably just keep turning into an all-star. He'll probably just turn into an all-star and keep getting better. The one that really hurts I think, is the Teoscar trade. So if you're the Jays, if you're Ross Atkins and Shapiro, first of all, like I said previously, okay, you guys remade Skydome. It looks great. It's a great experience. You guys are charging fans more. What a surprise in Toronto. So now you guys are charging fans more for tickets. At least bring in a baseball team that's worth it. Do what you have to. This whole thing with Shohei last year, whether you guys were actually in on the guy or just being used as a pawn, don't let it happen again with Juan Soto, okay? Be realistic. So if you guys actually think you can sign him, make him the big offer. If he's not taking it, don't be used. Just pull out of it and spend the money somewhere else. So my whole thing is rebuild the bullpen. Get some arms in the bullpen. But sign Anthony Santander, Alex Bregman, and bring those guys in. Sign Vladdy long term, bring Bo back, and move forward. Some of the young pieces that you got at the deadline last year look good. Will Wagner looks good. Joey Loperfido looks good. I really liked how Spencer Horwitz played all season last year. He looks like he's going to be a really good contributor. When you think about how you wanted the left side or left-handed bats to play in your lineup, good contact guys, you had Biggio trying everything possible to unlock Biggio. Now you got Spencer Horwitz, Addison Barger, Joey Loperfido. So now just go get, instead of spending money on one big guy, if you could spend it on Soto, I get it. Soto, pair him with Vladdy, you're good. But they're saying Anthony Santander is going to command a 4-year, $80 million contract. The guy hit 40 home runs last year. Alex Bregman, we all know his experience, his resume. They're saying he's going to command a 5-year, 120 or 4-year, 120. Spend the money on that. Beef up that bullpen. Bring in 1 more, 2 more starters for depth. You got 4 really good starters there in Barrios, Gosman, Bassett, and Bowden Francis. You have a part-time starter in Yariel. If you bring in a good 5th starter, you could push him to the bullpen. I would say try and bring back Ryan Yarborough. Hopefully Jordan Romano comes back next year. And you could rebuild that bullpen, but you guys are on the hot seat, man. Shapiro and Atkins. You guys have to be on the hot seat and know it. So either Ed Rogers is giving you that green light to fix it, or he's not. And that's why you guys are preaching this internal growth again. If you guys are preaching this internal growth again, you guys might, the writing's on the wall. You guys are probably gone next year. So if he's giving you the green light to spend and you guys actually want to spend the money, go get a couple of power bats. Please, I beg you. Proper ones, not 3rd-tier power bats like guys who are on their last legs like Justin Turner was or Brandon Belt was. Like, don't bring those guys in. For what? They're not going to do anything for this team. You need guys who are going to push the needle, who are going to protect Vladdy and unlock Vladdy again. He looked amazing after the first month of this last season. What are you guys doing not signing Vladdy to a long-term contract too? Like, he should actually be the first one you guys sign to a long-term contract is him. And then bring in other players. If you could bring in Santander and Teoscar, amazing. Santander and Bregman, amazing. Teoscar and Bregman, amazing. Just bring in 2 guys who, between the 2 of them, are going to give you 70 home runs and 190 RBIs. Please. We have enough Isaiah Kiner-Falefa now, or whatever. Kiner-Falefa, yeah. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, that's it. We have enough of those guys. We don't need more. We don't need more utility guys that you could place here and play. It's not doing anything for the team. If we're talking about this internal growth thing again, Jays fans, just shut it down for the season. Yeah, you can support the team, but that just tells me that Ed Rogers is going to switch things up after this season. John Schneider. Okay, so this one's tough. I don't really know. I feel like every time I see John Schneider, he's getting ready to burst. Like he just wants to blow up at the two guys I mentioned before. I feel like his hands are too tied into this analytics way of thinking and managing a ball team. I mean, it started in that wild card game against Seattle. They had the chance to tie up the series, send it to that last deciding game. What do? They make a pitching change for no reason. Then the very next year, against Minnesota, practically the same thing. Jose is looking amazing against his former team, pitching a gem. They make a pitching change. When is this analytics way of managing this baseball team gonna change? Probably not anytime soon. Anyone that knows Rogers, the company, knows that they, like a lot of organizations these days, runs on AI and analytics. They have a huge investment in analytics at Rogers, so I'm sure that just trickles down to their sports assets now too. Which, going to another point, I don't know how good that is for the Toronto sports scene. Now that Edward Rogers purchased Bell's stake in MLSE, he's the most powerful sports figure in Canada. I would say more than Larry Tannenbaum, obviously. It's either going to be a really, really good thing, or we're just going to get more of the same in Toronto, especially with the Jays. But yeah, John Schneider. Okay, I'll say this about the Jays. I never like anyone losing their job, so I'm glad they made a change from Guillermo Martinez. I'm sure he'll land on his feet somewhere, being in the industry. I just think their approach at the plate is so bad that they needed a change, and so the new hitting coach that they brought in, let's see what happens. It's already November. Before you know it, it's going to be February, and they'll be reporting. But in that time from now till then, Blue Jays, Shapiro, Atkins, don't make the off season look like the last couple of off seasons, please. If you guys are gonna go out firing, man. Like, go out, get some big bats, sign them to a couple of deals, change how this lineup looks around Vladdy and Bo. And I don't want to hear this garbage about Bo either, and that he needs to get traded or they need to. No. Let Bo be Bo. Everyone knows how he approaches the game from the mental side, and he's very tough on himself. The last couple of years he's been injured. But at his age, you don't just find guys at his age who have 200 hit seasons. They're rare. Bobby Witt is one of them. But, there's a few of them. But Bo's a player, man. Like, let him play with this team. And the thing is, he stated he wants to be with this team. So Rogers has the money to pay. If they're able to offer a player $700 million over 10, 12 years or whatever it was, they obviously have the money to pay 3, 4 really good guys $150 each. Like, then just do it. Or pay one guy $300 and 2 guys $150 each. Like, whatever it is. Do that instead of. I would rather that than bring in Juan Soto for 13 years. Honestly, Juan Soto's won a ring, so and I'm not saying he's just gonna take it easy the rest of his career, but that fire in him to win another one. Remember, he's won one already, and maybe that's a lot of money for a guy who's in his position. Who knows? Philadelphia brought in Bryce Harper for $300 million and still went out and got Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner, brought in and paid for pitching. So it's not just bringing in that one big guy and saying, okay, internal development. No. If you're going to spend money and spend money with the big boys in baseball, then spend the money and get the proper guys. Don't bring in stopgaps. Don't bring in some band-aid solution like guys who it's probably not going to work out. Bring in the right guys around Vladdy and Bo. Make it happen. And if you're not, then I don't know, man. This past summer was the first summer I didn't go see a Blue Jays game, and I can't remember how long. And because it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it for what Shapiro and Atkins are putting out there right now. Fix up, you guys.